of the yeah, just a reminder, gentlemen, that all of the talks that we have on Regroup, they're available on the website actually today, because the Tuesday night group uses this same talk that I'm going to give, and the Thursday night group as well. So you can go to doingfamilyright.com, click under Regroup, and then go to recovery videos, and it'll be just listed as the next one there. And some of you guys that are newer, you got to know that this is the 82nd thing we've recorded just on these talks. And so, you know, today is going to be an encouraging talk for you. And, you know, I talked to one gentleman yesterday, really proud of him. He says, not only do I come to Regroup and listen, he says, I will at least once this week listen again to your talk, so it really gets into my system. Well done, sir. I appreciate that. But today we're going to talk about assessing marital atmosphere. And where this comes from, atmosphere is all the different factors that weigh into having something good. All the different factors. And the interesting thing about looking at these characteristics of a strong marital atmosphere, because this is all about connectedness, how to really be connected with your spouse or your future spouse. And so we're going to walk through these, and characteristically, a man who's been struggling with porn and sexual addiction hasn't been really good at most of these. And I'm going to tell you at the end why I think that is. But let's walk through these 10 characteristics here of marital connection, and they become, number one, a point of assessment, but number two, they become a target. Because if you can look at these and say, well, that's not important, argue and lose. I've been doing marriage ministry for over 40 years, and I just put this together just in the last, well, just about a year ago, I guess I did it. And I've never shared this publicly before, just use it with a few couples to help them assess where they're at. So let's walk through these 10. And number one is affection. And you go, oh yeah, now we're talking. No, I'm not talking about sexuality. I'm talking about warm physical touch, gentleness, caring hugs, just good morning kisses away from the bedroom, just putting your arms around her to hold her, comfort her, holding hands with her, sitting close. It's really amazing. Guys maybe want to be sexual, but they don't like holding their wife's hand, or they don't like having a public display of affection or whatever. But the sense that we feel secure, loved, close, touch. You know, even if you even look at, you know, how frequently you touch away from the bedroom. See, affection is good morning hugs. It's you know, last night I worked till about 8:15, and I got home and I just walked in the kitchen and just hugged my wife, and we just stood there for likely 30 seconds or so. Just good to see you, and we just stopped life. And so where are you at with regard to warm physical touch, caring hugs, that affection? There's the first one you can check yourself on. Number two is affirmation. This is encouraging words. You know, you acknowledge your attributes, where you say, hey, listen, I really appreciate that about you. This is give you example of what affirmation is. But yesterday I came home and I noticed there was a new little kind of, you know what a bunny hug is, you know, a jacket with the hood, you know, thing. And so there was one there hanging on the door of my bedroom. I said, oh, did you get something new here today? She says, no, I'm taking it back. And it's one of those really heavy, fleecy looking, looks like almost like a lamb's wool or whatever. And I said, oh yeah, why is that? She says, I look like a puffball in it. And so I went back, we were in the kitchen, and I went back over to her, and I gave her another hug, and I said, remember, I am your gauge of beauty. I am your mirror. And I think you're drop dead gorgeous. So don't worry about how you think that makes you feel. I'm your mirror. I love you. Oh, thanks. I needed that. But you see what I'm saying? That's the affirmation, encouraging words where you build her up, you honor her, you affirm her, and but you see, too many times there's harshness, there's criticism, there's attacking, and there's not affirmation. When's the last time you said something encouraging to your wife? So that's affirmation. Thirdly is attention. Are you guilty of being with your wife, but also being with your phone at the same time? And, oh, just a second. Yeah, go ahead, hon. I'm listening. And you're going, I mean, like active listening, fully engaged, fully present. And she might even say, are you listening to me? And you go, oh, yeah, I'm listening. Yeah. Well, what did I say? You were talking about the kids. Yeah, I was listening. Yeah. Well, what about the kids? Homework, school. Yeah, you weren't listening, right? But this idea of fully being present, you set aside distractions, no phone, and you're actually looking at her, and you listen to the end of the interaction. You're actually in the moment, and it's really critical that a spouse feels that you're actually engaged and listening when you're with them. And the truth is, sometimes women can multitask. They can do a few things at once. Most of us guys can't. We can't be listening to her really and kind of doing something else. It's best to shut down other distractions, and better to give her 3 to 5 minutes of undivided attention than to have a 20-minute discussion where you're only half in it. And so focused attention, number 3. Number 4, appreciation. This is the simple gratitude thing. Thank you. Thank you. You actually use the words please and thank you. And you know what? Just this last weekend, we had a season where 3 of the younger grandkids were over. My youngest son's 3 girls. We had the most of Friday, and I was off Friday, and so I had lots of fun with the grandkids. And but they're at the stage where, okay, now I gave you that. What do you got to say? What do you got to say? Oh, thank you. Yeah, good. They're still on that I'm learning that stuff stage. Well, it's almost like some of you need to relearn that, because you're not very grateful. You kind of take your wife for granted. You assume, well, that's the least you can do. I go bust my butt out there working all day. For crying out loud, I got to thank you for but the idea of giving them credit for their role, validating contributions, just really being appreciative. And that's the 4th one. And again, as we go through these, ask yourself, how am I doing out of 10? You can score yourself out of 10 in your mind, or write it down. I mean, if you've been able to print this, most you wouldn't have yet, but anyway, appreciation. Number 5, assistance. That's giving acts of service, where you're going to help out. You're going to lighten their load. You're going to just be empathetic to what they've got to do in life, and to take something off their list. And you actually sometimes do something that they're not even asking you to do, to surprise them. But even when you are asked to do it, are you muttering the whole time, oh, for crying out loud, why do I gotta do this? I mean, don't you know how busy I am, and blah, blah, blah. And but it's actually being a team where we work together, and where hey, don't worry about, I'll look after that. Oh, really? Oh, that'd be so nice, and yada, yada, yada. But it's actual assisting one another. It's lightening her load. It's recognizing what's on her list and taking something off her list and actually doing it well, and helping her out. Creates a really good atmosphere between you, because that's there's a sense of you lifted my load, and I appreciate that. Number 6 is advocacy. Oh, and by the way, those men who want their, or wondering if their wives should come to Purge, which is Partner Encouragement Recovery Group Experience. It's all about helping the partners recover from your addiction. I teach them about what it means to be your advocate. Might be good if you're their advocate too, that you've got their back, that you stand up for them, don't throw them under the bus, that you don't allow a wedge to go between you. You speak highly of her in public. And a matter of fact, if any of her family members or your family members speak negative of her, that you stand up for her. You believe in her, and you're on her team. She knows that there's this undying support of her because you stand up for her rather than criticize or join others and, like talking negative about her or whatever. But just that she knows that if she is brought up in a discussion, it's positive. If there's hard things that got to be talked through, you talk to her about them. You don't talk to others. And so the idea of just being her advocate, that I'm her wingman, as it were. Advocacy. How you doing, guys? Out of 10. Apology. This has to do with how freely and quickly you admit wrongs. Most men are a little bit proud and arrogant, and they don't do, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Well, they don't, as a matter of fact, they can't even say the word wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, but you know what I found, and it says in the Psalms that a broken and a contrite heart, the Lord does not despise. Broken meaning soft, almost tearful, broken. You can see the sincerity, humility there. But then contrite is regretful, remorseful. So a cross between regretful and remorseful is broken and contrite. What I found is it says a broken and a contrite heart, the Lord does not despise. What I found is that people do not despise a broken and a contrite heart. When someone is broken and contrite, which is, remorseful and regretful and coming back to apologize, good things happen. I mean, Proverbs 14 verse 9 says, fools mock in making amends for sin. The fool says, you don't need to apologize. It wasn't that big a deal. Besides, she's done lots wrong too. Good. You're going to score 0 out of 10 on this idea of apologizing. See, if you take ownership of your mistakes without being prompted, if you don't jump into blaming her or justifying or blaming someone else or defensiveness or making excuses, but you actually are willing to say you're sorry, ask for forgiveness, and you restore the connection, there's a mature man, and there will be a really good atmosphere between you guys. So apologizing is part of having a great marital atmosphere. You say, well, yeah, but my wife never apologizes to me. Well, right now, last I checked, there aren't any women on the phone call. So let's don't worry about what she's not doing. She can evaluate herself, and you can actually score her as well. So if she's going to score low on apologizing, then you can have a talk about that. Number 8, adoration. To adore her is thoughtful gestures, is remembering significant days. I sadly, about 3 weeks ago, a wife said, yeah, my husband, he's not into any of those special days. I said, what do you mean? He never gets me a card or a birthday present. We've never done anything for Valentine's Day. We say we've got everything, he says, so you don't need any Christmas presents. To be honest, if he was in the room, I would have laid the smack down. Well, I'm just not that kind of guy. Well, so what if your wife is that kind of girl and you're saying, well, I'm not the kind of guy, I don't hug. Well, sometimes you don't hug because you need it. Sometimes you hug because they need it. And besides, you got to get over that barrier that you have to some of these things. And so gifts, knowing what they like, wanting to please, like, I would say that at least 5 mornings a week, because I'm up before my wife most days and I make the coffee and stuff. Before I leave to come, I'll walk in and she's usually awake by then, but I put the coffee beside her bed. Morning, babe, have a good day. We'll see you later. And, just a gesture of making coffee and bringing it to her. It's not like, oh, this is so amazing. Dave Currie's amazing. Golly, guys, it's nothing. How hard is it to pour the coffee, walk 18 steps, morning, honey? Like, it's so hard to do. I can't do that kind of thing, Currie. No, you're a selfish beggar and just don't consider her. So adoration, where you sacrifice for her, you want to please her, including spending time together. If you think I'm messed up and a challenge to be married to now, you should have seen earlier. I'm not all that I need to be yet, but I sure don't like to be who I used to be. But when I was a young man, like some of you guys in the early years of marriage, I was so committed to my job as a youth worker at a church. I was a youth pastor. I was so committed to my job as a youth pastor that there was times, and this was back in the day when a person's schedule, their daily plans, it was kept in a paper version of what we do now on our phones, but it was called Daytimer. And there's times that my wife would actually take my Daytimer and put in my Daytimer, date with Donna Lynn. Okay, this is the part I don't like saying. I would go through there and I would erase it and say, well, you got to understand how busy I am. I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm not going to be able to. And there was at least 3 times I went back in and erased what she put in, wanting to spend time with me, and I would not give it to her. I'll tell you what, guys, a stinking lowlife. Didn't know what it meant to really adore her and value her and spend significant time with her. Now, I've come a long way and I don't want to be that man anymore. But oh, was I blind. Number 9 is allegiance. I first, obviously became familiar to the word allegiance because, as a young kid, there was the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of Canada, blah, 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 blah. And the word allegiance means loyalty. Allegiance means respect and loyalty. Loyalty. Allegiance is a deep marital commitment where marriage is a clear priority. You share schedules and whereabouts. You're loyal, faithful, exclusive. Matter of fact, I have a wonderful talk I give to married couples where it's all about deep marital commitment, and it's all about keeping your commitment in a culture that doesn't know how. And it's being faithful, exclusive, being willing to be accountable. We make each other feel pursued and important, that I am loyal to one, that I don't allow preoccupations with other people. I don't allow some version of distraction. I'm faithful to her. And that it's not only not porn, it's not scoping other women, it's not, flirting with other women. It's not, there's an exclusiveness and a deep commitment. I am faithful to her. I pledge my allegiance, my loyalty to her. How you doing on that one? I wonder what she would say. And the last one, I use the word anchored. It's a wonderful passage in Hebrews. Oh my goodness, Hebrews. The reference will come to me. I just went brain fart, sorry, but I'll quote it to you. We have this hope as an anchor. Hebrews 6:19, forgive me. Hebrews 6:19 says this: we have this hope, the hope that Jesus transforms lives. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, the hope that Jesus can change me. Selvin's prayer talked about that it was a God keep changing us and working in us. You see, when the marital atmosphere is really strong, there's a strong spiritual connection. There's a deepening faith together. We're praying with and for each other. We go to church and Bible study together. We share our hearts and we share what we're learning, and we agree on life's values. We're anchored because there's this commonality of our life worldview and our life principles, and the greater alignment there, the greater the marital atmosphere will be. And so there's this beautiful growing together. Part of that, of course, is praying together. And my wife and I have done a seminar called Praying Together for Normal Couples. And we like helping people understand what it means to pray together. Keep in mind that for Christian couples, for people to pray together regularly, if people pray together regularly, they have approximately a 1% chance of ever divorcing. Problem is, 91% of Christian couples do not pray together. Christian men, women, married, do not pray together most of the time. Part of the journey is getting over yourselves, and you taking the initiative. Honey, got challenged today by Currie. We're gonna try to start praying together. And you might do it for a while, but the last thing we do every day is we pray together. And there's something about alignment that we have because of our faith in the Lord and our shared worldview about the difference the Lord makes, and that we understand the desire to really spend our lives helping other people, and even to have my wife pray for me as I talk to you this morning, or pray for me as I counsel people through hard things and help them go in God's direction. For me to pray for her as she's caring for other people. We have this beautiful alignment, and it changes the atmosphere. Donalyn says, I don't know what it is, but it just really feels cool when I actually hear you pray for me. And I think that's true for all of us. So you have 10 characteristics to improve your marital atmosphere: affection, affirmation, attention, appreciation, assistance, advocacy, apology, adoration, allegiance, and anchored. Now, without a doubt, some of you are saying, yeah, but Dave, you didn't include anything about the sex life. Like, Dave, what Dave? Like, you missed it, Dave. Maybe I did it deliberately, because if these things are in balance and scoring high numbers, my assessment of over 4 decades of helping people is there will not be a problem in the bedroom. To be truthful, if I did this talk to women, I would remind them that there needs to be some movement in that direction too. And you say, finally, Dave, why is it on the list? Well, it's because we're talking about a comprehensive atmospheric change in the marriage that will be supplemented by that, but not primarily directed by that. And that's, see, because the addiction and your battle with, porn or sexual addiction and acting out in any of these ways, recognize that this is what the addiction does to you and why you likely will not have a really good marital atmosphere. The addiction makes you selfish and self-centered. It's all about you. It's your needs. You're not really other-centered. You're not good at putting her first. And so selfishness is there. Matter of fact, the addiction makes you quite one-dimensional. I mean, some of these words that I threw out here, not that the words you'd never heard of before, but the concept of what you should do in a marriage related to those words, you go, gee, I never thought of that before. That is that part of a good marriage? Really? I thought you're supposed to, buy them something at Christmas and on their birthday and, take them on a few dates and, help out a little bit and then everything's great, right? Yeah, I've given you a pretty clear picture of what it is, but the addiction makes you one-dimensional because you're focused on what needs to be happening in the bedroom to satisfy you. And so I need you to open up your vision gate to see that there's way more things involved in having a good marriage than just things need to heat up in the bedroom. I'm not happy. Well, that's because the addiction has made you one-dimensional and quite self-centered and selfish. And you become, thirdly, oblivious to her needs. When you are objectifying sex, objectifying her, coming out of your addiction, what happens is you become so self-absorbed that you become oblivious. That means unaware of what her needs are, or you discount them. Oh, for crying out loud, who expects that? Kindness, appreciation, assistance, advocacy. Those are a lot of things, Currie, that seem to be unnecessary to me. Well, why do you think you're going to defend that way? Because you become one-dimensional, you become selfish, and you're unaware and oblivious to the needs that she has. This here is a comprehensive, healthy relationship. And I tell you, the more I personally move in the direction of these 10, I enjoy my marriage more because it's a relationship. But remember, some of you are looking for connection sexually, but not looking for connection emotionally, spiritually, or in companionship. And so, well, and that's maybe not some of you. Some of you are maybe amazing husbands and great boyfriends as you date girls. But too often the addiction makes us stop learning. We stop learning about relationships. Remember, we get emotional adolescence and we become very self-absorbed, and it's kind of pouting if we don't get what we want, and so we stop learning, and the addiction makes me actually, fifthly, spend more focused time on getting what I need instead of giving what she needs. And there's some work to do. There's some work to do. So we'll talk about it as a group here, but I also want you in your small groups to discuss what are the hardest two, where do you fall short? But as we assess your marital atmosphere this morning, let's have a look at that, gentlemen, and let's talk it through. So let me just pause it and we'll go from there.